Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Taylor and we are going to do a little chatty work with me, well, a ship with me I should say. So today I kind of want to talk about something I feel like a lot of us are struggling with right now, and that is kind of slower sales. So in this video, I want to talk about some things I do to get the ball rolling, but yeah, let's just jump right in and I'll show you what's been selling for me. So this first item to sell, this is a Savannah, I guess that's how you pronounce it, but it is a 5X organic cotton dress. And in this video, I am gonna more focus on kind of what's selling for me, what I'm noticing, and kind of those strategies I said, as well as what it sold for. I am not really gonna focus on the actual profits of each item, if that's okay with you guys. Moving forward, I want these videos to be informational as well as helpful to see what is actually selling for me. I did pay up a little bit for this item at a regular thrift store, but it did sell for $26 on Poshmark. I started having a little accent. It's $26 on Poshmark. Now, I think the reason it sold so fast, and I do want to also include that, I listed it on March 5th, excuse me, and it sold on March 22nd. So I think the reason it sold so quickly is because we are kind of in the season of dresses. You know, dresses are performing pretty well. As you can see, I have a good amount of dresses that have sold for me over the weekend. And to preface, this is about 18 or 19 orders, and I did have one on for today, which is Monday. So if you can, try to look into dresses, maybe try to start incorporating looking for some summer pieces. You're gonna notice a lot of summer pieces are selling very quickly for me. Okay, so the next item to sell is yet another dress. This brand can be hit or miss, and I think a lot of resellers talk about not getting this brand, but I still pick it up, and it depends on the piece. But this is Madewell, and this is a 3X dress. I did actually get this at the bins. So I listed this on February 24th, and it sold on March 23rd. So about a month. And this is, it's hemp and cotton. So it's very breathable, as you can see. It's tiered, just like a little loungewear piece. And sorry, my folding skills are kind of bad with dresses. So my apologies. Lately, I have noticed sales have definitely dropped. And that's kind of why I wanted to have this discussion with you guys, because I think, and I've noticed in the comments too, which I greatly appreciate it because it makes me feel like I'm not alone. But I have noticed a drop in sales, and this is kind of gonna talk, like I'm gonna talk about some strategies I've been using, and I guess I'll talk about the first one right now is I am sending more offers. And what I mean by that is, let's say normally what I send out is I do 20%, and I used to not do shipping discounts at all. Poshmark, I think in the last like year or two, started offering like a $5.49 shipping, because before the only shipping option they had was I think $4.99. And for me, I was like, wow, that's, you know, that's a big cut. But as I'm noticing sales are slowing down, I'm sending 20% off. So anytime somebody likes anything in my closet, I wait 5 minutes to send an offer, and it's 20% with discounted shipping. So I am playing around with it. I'm being honest with you guys. I want to make more sales. I want to move more product, and I want things to be turning over faster. So I want to move out more sales. If that means I lose a couple dollars here and there, that's kind of what I mean. Like, that's, you know, okay in my book, as long as my profit isn't like dropping, if that makes sense. But the next item I sold was this Aloe Yoga. And Aloe Yoga, I really do like Aloe Yoga leggings. and just activewear in general. This I think was called, this is the little brand, but they have like a little aloe on the leg sometime or on the sleeve. But this is the Uplift leggings, and I did find this at a regular thrift store. These sold on Poshmark for $36. I did list them on March 6th and they sold on March 23rd. So that's a pretty good flip. I noticed in the summertime there is an uptick for activewear. And fun fact is I went into some buy sell trade stores and I kind of used what they were looking for as kind of a little bit of a roadmap on some things that I should also be looking for. I think that if you can, or if you're interested in activewear, you should maybe look into it. I think have to be careful sometimes because I know Athleta sometimes can sit for the leggings, but as long as you are like checking the style and stuff, I think activewear could be something great for you. Okay, so next item, this is a super great find, and this is probably my best sale that I had this weekend. This is Pilcro. So this is an Anthropologie, and this style of sweater, this is 100% cashmere. This is called, I believe, the Alani sweater. This is a fabulous styled sweater to be on the lookout for. Each time I have found this, as long as it's in great condition, it has sold for over $70. So, and I found it at the bins, in a picked over bin, so I was super excited. I did list this on February 11th and it sold on March 21st. So, and it did sell on Poshmark for $98. So again, great sale for that one. And yeah, I still think sweaters are great. I still think they're selling, and like I said, in my closet, I like to pick up cardigans and sweaters as long as they, I have had experience with them or if they have sold in the past. Another thing that I did this weekend that I think really helped my sales was I did send pretty aggressive offers. Now, typically I do something called a waterfall offer system within my, stores. Except for eBay. eBay, I always have 20% off running. In Poshmark, I will start with that 20% and then I will move to 30%. And then this weekend, I was like, this is not going well. Something's going on here. So we need to put some activity out there. And so I sent bulk offers for 40%. And I was able to get some sales from that. I think I got 7 or 8 sales, but I will say it did move some old inventory. So I'm grateful I did that. Also, let me know, do you have any, what do you do when your sales are slow? Do you have a method that you like to do? I know a lot of people use closet clear outs. They will send shopper messages, and they'll send a huge message to shoppers and tell them of a sale they're running. So I know there's a lot of different things, but let me know in the comments down below what are some things that help you. And I don't even think I told you what this was. Sorry about that. See, this is why I have to eliminate some things that I tell you, because I get so distracted. But this is Athleta, and these are the Trekkie pants. Now, I did pay up for these a little bit at a regular thrift store, and I paid under $5. So these were listed on February 24th. They sold on March 21st, and they sold for $28 on Poshmark. So I do like Athleta, but you'll hear me say this a lot in my videos, so hopefully I'm not a little broken record, but I really like to run the comps on Athleta because Athleta, she can be very oversaturated, and that's kind of the risk with Athleta a little bit, but I think if you run the comps, it can be a good bread and butter piece that still does well. Next sale, this is on Poshmark, and I did have a lot of Poshmark sales because I ran that sale, or I ran the offer sale discount thing, whatever. And eBay, I did not. So I only had like 3 eBay sales. I had 1 Depop, which is kind of low for me for Depop, but hey, that's okay. That's one thing that I'm really also leaning towards more of, is just cross-listing and making sure that my items are on all the platforms. As a full-time reseller, for me personally, it was not sustainable for me. Like, the sales would drop. So it's like having that other platform is really great. Alrighty, so this is an Urban Outfitters size large. These are kind of like a pull-on sweatpant kind of. They do have a little bit of a barrel leg. Barrel leg is kind of like where it bows out a little bit like that, which is pretty popular right now. So these were listed on February 4th. And they sold on March 21st. So they sold for $21, and that was on Poshmark. Alrighty, so the next sale is this Calvin Klein dress. This I did list on March 5th, and it sold on the 23rd. It did sell for $22. And, sorry, excuse me, this is a Calvin Klein plus size, so this is a 16. And it's just a nice floral career dress. Calvin Klein career dresses actually can do and perform pretty well, as long as they are like a bigger size or a plus size. I would kind of look into Calvin Klein dresses if you come across them very often, or if they're a little bit cheaper. Me personally, I probably wouldn't pay up for this item again, but yeah, I would still be on the lookout for it because they do perform pretty well. An eBay order, finally. So this is a nice bread and butter or tried and true that I like to still pick up. This is Eileen Fisher, and it's a size medium, but it's this really pretty, like, lightweight, dainty, kind of Irish linen blouse. Eileen Fisher, these like lightweight blouses in the summertime, especially if they're good fabric content, can definitely do pretty well. But this was listed on January 17th, and it sold on March 22nd, and it sold for $31.19 plus shipping on eBay. So, like I said, I would definitely consider Eileen Fisher, especially if it has a good fabric content. I know a lot of people say only the larger sizes, but I do still have experience with size mediums. Not a ton with smaller sizes, but you know, if they're a good fabric content, I would still run comps. So that's also something I am doing for me personally or my business, is I'm trying to slow down on what I'm picking up. I'm trying to slow down in general. And I will be making a chatty work with me where I talk a little bit about this, just kind of feelings of burnout a little bit and just experiencing it. I think the biggest thing is just like really trying to not, and you know, I'm not the best with this, I definitely need to work on this, is to not overbuy. And I think a huge source of overbuying for me is just going to the Goodwill outlet so often. I used to go probably 2 or 3 times a week, and I would get anywhere from like 20 to 30 items. So that is, if I can do the math correctly, that could be anywhere from 60 to 90 items. Now that's great, but to be honest with you, that's how my store got so big and all my items kind of started sitting. You know, not all of them, but a lot of them did. So if I'm being honest with you, I felt burnt out. You know, I felt like I was constantly listing, constantly sourcing, constantly taking pictures. And for me, that's, you know, I know it works great for a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not here to say don't do that. I'm just saying for me personally, I have to take a step back because I was getting burnt out. I build a business where I am able to take time off, or I'm able to still make sales if I'm not listing every day. So yeah, that's just something I'm doing to hopefully bring in more sales, is just kind of slowing down. And the way that I slow down is making intentional purchases, making sure that the things that I'm buying are things that are actually going to sell for me or that have proven to sell in my personal closet. I'm sorry for that really long tangent. I'm just kind of trying to be chatty and talk with you guys as well as sales. So, okay, next sale. Sorry about that. This is a Mack Weldon pullover, and sorry, I'll show you again, but it's just a little slouchy like pullover. Their little logo is kind of like a W. I did list this on January 27th, and sorry, this sold on March 23rd, and it sold for $26.39 on eBay. I'm so sorry. I get so distracted. It's probably the coffee's fault. When you get coffee, when I start drinking coffee, I'm just like telling you everything, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. So this is a little Free People dress, and this is called the Ti Amo mini dress. And this is an older style from Free People, but what I will tell you is that I believe Free People little mini dresses tend to still perform well for me. I just kind of have to be careful with them. But this one, a lot of people, weirdly enough, had this listed pretty high, which is kind of going to go into my next tip on how I'm combating slow sales. Is I priced this a little bit lower. Listed March 7th, it sold on March 22nd, and it sold for $28. So in the past, I feel like, you could get away with pricing, not always being good with pricing, but I feel like this day and age, now that things there's more competition, or there's more, just people can spend less, you really gotta price things pretty comparable. So that's something I'm definitely paying attention. And the best way that I check for pricing is I check when I'm doing my comp search. So when I'm looking to see if I'm going to purchase that item, I'm also looking to see what the item is selling for. So let's say I'm out and about and I find something, but it's only selling for $10 to $15, but they want $5 for it. I probably will pass on that item. Just for me personally, it's not going to sell that much, and the profit is not what I want for my business. Now, to each their own, but for me, I'm trying to stick to that $20 profit. This is the brand Cool. Now, I do like this brand, but what I will say is the men's, I think, pants and stuff like that tend to do a little bit better. But this is cool, and this is a women's jacket. The little logo is kind of it looks like a shield, I guess. A shield, and then it's just a little jacket. Sell on Poshmark again when I sent that offer of about 40%, I think. And it still sold for about $26. I think it might have sold just for 30%. I can't remember. But yeah, this sold pretty well, didn't take too long. It was listed on February 17th, and it sold on March 21st for $26. All right, sorry, I had to go get this, another sale that I forgot to pull. But this is that Post-it note little cardigan, and I had a feeling this would sell. I probably paid a little bit too much, but that's okay. Lesson learned. See, I'm not perfect. This sold for $22. It literally sold in 2 days, and it sold on Poshmark. So, yeah, this is just a reminder that, and that's something I'm noticing, niche items, trendy items, they sell really, really fast. So what I notice is grandma core, things like that, anything that has kind of a Y2K look to it, streetwear, just anything like that is selling really, really fast. And I think that we're going to see more of it sell. We're going to see more of those trendier pieces, those niche styles sell, sometimes over the name brand stuff, which is really interesting to me. If you would have asked me a couple years ago like if that was going to be a thing. I don't know if I would have said I see that as a thing. And it just reminds me that like, just because something's a good brand doesn't mean that you should always have to pick it up. If that makes sense, you really got to vet it and make sure that, you know, it's a good style. Start noticing more trendier, you know, style-based things sell. And it's true that a lot of them are selling, and sometimes they sell so much faster than something else. Next piece to sell is this really cute Free People Intimately Free kind of smocked floral dainty tank top. And I did source this last June. So this, I'm being full transparent, it's probably not something I would have picked up. I think I should have ran my comps a lot better, but that's okay. It's still sold on Poshmark for about $16. Just for me, it took a little bit too long and it didn't sell for too much, but hey, that's okay. Next sale, this is a Theory, and this actually came in this morning. So these are a pair of, let me check. These are linen and lyso. I don't know how to pronounce that word. But these are some Theory. These are green, like pull-on pants. And honestly, I do like Theory. I did source this in November 29th, and it sold on March 24th. So I like Theory. I just think sometimes Theory can sit for a little bit, but you know, like I said before, I'm okay because it sold on eBay for $40.79. So I'm kind of okay with that because, like, yeah, it sat for like 6 months, but it sold for $40. So, and it was lightweight. I got it at the bins. It's different than that Free People top because the Free People top took the same amount of time, but my profit is way lower than this. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what I mean by, like, I probably wouldn't pick that up again. It's not saying that the item is bad itself. It's just saying that, you know, maybe I could pick up something a little bit better than that next time. Next piece, this is Allie Miles. It's, as long as there are some good factors, her stuff can perform decently well for me. So this sold on Poshmark. I did list it January 12th, and it sold on March 23rd, and it sold for $24. Now, I did pay a little up for this, so moving forward, I probably would not, you know, pay up. Like, when I pay up for stuff, I want it to at least sell for $30 if I pay for it for $5, if that makes sense. Does that always happen all the time? No, but that's my goal. So, wow, I'm actually doing really good with the tape. I haven't used any of my little spider legs yet, so, but watch, right? At my next order that I'll need it. So guys, I think I made a flop on this, so my apologies, but this is figs, and I know so many people told me not to pick up figs. I should have listened, because while this did sell, because this sold on Depop, this was my only Depop sale, and oddly enough, figs sometimes does well on Depop. Just for reference, if anybody has fig stuff, I would consider posting it on Depop, because a lot of stuff have sold for me on there for figs. But this sold for $24.40, but I did pay up for this. So, well, my cost of goods was kind of high on that day because I decided to buy something a little bit too expensive. Moving forward, I'm probably not going to pick up figs anymore. Unless it's like a jacket, or it's at the bins, like probably. Now this particular top, the Raffaella, I think is a really good style still for figs, so I think it can still perform well. I'm not going to pay up for it, so that's kind of, oh, look, I told you, we have officially run out of tape. Now we must use the spider legs. All right. But yeah, so I think moving forward, I will just be cautious about what I pick up and just, I'm making a mess over here, but I'll just be cautious. Yes, Mar, 2 more, and then you can go see your friends outside. Okay, so second to last piece is this cute Lululemon. It's kind of like a Swiftly top. This was also a flop on my end. It does have some discoloration. So I do like Lululemon tank tops, but I only like the Swiftly tops. This one, I just got it home and I noticed the flaw. So I was like, I'm just gonna list it, my mistake. So it was listed on August 7th and it sold on March 23rd. I had to sneeze. So March 23rd, and it sold for about $15 on Poshmark. So I'm okay. Somebody sent me an offer and I went ahead and I ran with it because I try not to beat myself up, you know. Like, I sometimes get stuff home and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you not see this? But, you know, sometimes it's hard to see things in the thrift stores or at the bins too. Sometimes you're just like, you're in the motion and like some stuff gets hidden in your like bag. I've gotten home before and I have found like a random sock, like a random t-shirt. I'm like, and sometimes that just happens because people are throwing stuff. So this next or last item to sell was this Dress the Population, and this is a really beautiful emerald green, like maxi, kind of like a formal gown. It sell on Poshmark for $31. This sold on the offers to likers that I sent out, that 40%. I've had this dress for since September 25th, so had it for a little bit, and I think I just priced it a little bit too high. I originally picked it up for myself to see if I could wear it to this wedding, but it did not fit. So I listed it, so I didn't necessarily check comps on it. It's the Population. You know, I have another dress in my closet that's from them, and I don't know if I would pick up the brand. I would definitely run comps because it has also sat. So I don't know if you guys have experience with Dress the Population. Does it perform well for you or does it sit? And also let me know if, you know, I'd love to know if any of these brands also do well for you, or if you have any tips and tricks, like I was saying before, on some sales and how to combat slow sales. Mar. There she is. She wants to see her friends. Again, thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.